Hello, everyone. So this is the end of the second day of the Grand Multiliteracy event. I hope you liked the sessions if you were able to follow live. Otherwise, feel free to catch up. I'm making this session to summarize a bit what we talked about, but also my takeaways. So if you also attended some of the sessions live, feel free to let me know what you remember from these sessions, what was important for you to learn maybe, or what was new for you, or what you think is important for you in your circumstance to know about. I'm trying to get the live going on my phone because so that I can see comments. Yeah, I'm here. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry. Okay. And so, yeah, I'm going to go back on everything, but just before, we'd like to remind everyone that all the speakers today were giving away various prizes, that they're all part of the big giveaway for this event. So if you're interested in anything in particular, feel free to register to the giveaway Google Doc, which is linked in the program. If you're not sure how to do it, even by reading, it's on page one, but even by reading, yesterday in the introductory session I walked you through it. So you can go and have a look at this video. And so what did we talk about today? So there were loads of sessions for different types of situations. We started with a session that's probably best for parents who have young children and who are planning to teach to read and write in their home languages. And we talked about the science of writing. So what science says about writing. And we saw that with Dr. Annie Yang-eun. She brought some slides, so you see that it's quite visual. It's very easy to understand, not just words, but you see it on the screen as well. And we talked about various languages. So there was English, Spanish, and Chinese mainly, but we talked a bit about French, Japanese as well. So if you're interested in starting to teach your child to read and write or to write in your language and the importance of it, I'll let you check this video. One thing that I'm taking away regarding the use of is regarding the use of teaching the strokes of the letters and characters of different languages. So it can be the Latin alphabet, it could be Chinese characters, but the use of it. And I didn't know this before, but it helps with the working memory. So if a child always learn to write a letter in a certain way, so for example, A always like this, and not sometimes like this or whatever, then it frees their working memory and they can focus more on what they're writing. So the ideas, etc. And that was new for me because when I was at school and I was learning to write, especially in Japanese, because they reinforced this a lot, the stroke order, I was wondering why I had to do it. So it was good for me to know this, and I hope you learned other things as well in this session. Then I did a session for parents who want to teach their children to read and write in their languages. And that was because back in May, in my survey, there were loads of parents who told me they didn't know how to teach their children. But what was specific about them is that they were all teachers. So I'm a teacher and a parent as well. So I talked about what helped my children on the way. So hopefully the tips I'm giving is going to be helpful for any parent who want to teach their children. But I guess one key thing I would like you to take away for this, you can look at the details in the video, but one really key thing to remember is that first we need to connect with our children. Connection with our children is a lot more important than the like having the goal to get them to read and write in our languages. The connection is the first thing. And I guess the thing associated to this is that we don't have the same goals with our children. Our goal is, for whatever reason, that we want our children to be able to read and write in our languages or all their languages. But for our children, it's not the same. For them, it's having fun, etc. And literacy is there, but especially at the start, it's not really relevant because they don't know what it's going to be useful for. Um, but later on, when they'll be able to read books on their own, they start seeing the point of it. But especially at the beginning, we need to meet them halfway and understand that it's not because we want them to be able to read and write that they want it, and to change the situation around and to adapt the way we do it. So I gave lots of details on this in my session. So if you're interested, have a look. And then the next session was with Raquel Aliste, who is a former early years coordinator. So we talked about, especially in England, how children learn to read and write. And I guess that's very helpful if we are, like in my case, we want to know what they do in school so we can do it at home, but also for parents, and maybe even more for parents who are passing on English to their children and who want them to be able to read and write. So we talked about loads of things, but I think one thing that I keep in mind and that I thought was very interesting is all the things that need to be put in place before we give a pen to a child. So uh, with Raquel, we talked mainly about like doing loads of activities to strengthen the muscles that they're going to need to be able to hold a pen, to do the movements on the paper. So like with Play-Doh, finger painting, etc. All these things are very important. So if you want to learn more about what children do in school in England to help you, feel free to go and have a look. And we finished with all the children. There was a session with Amanda Sean Blodgett, and we talked about. So we started with why maybe some teenagers seem to be lazy and not want to write in their home language. But the thing behind this is mainly about motivation. Why don't they want to write? Uh, and we talked about the fact that it would be similar for us as adults in the same situation. So again, it's to see the situation from the child's point of view. But one thing that I really liked about that I'm taking away, I want to share here, is the acronyms she came up with, read and write. So I'm going to share here read, so READ, can mean different things for parents and children. So as parents, so the R is for resilience. I guess for us, we need to be resilient, but also we want our children to be resilient. And then there is the E, which is empathy, understanding from our child's perspective what it means to read or write in the home language or even speak. It applies to everything. The A was for activities, so make sure we do activities with them. And she talked about the importance of doing things with our children to accompany them, but also to connect with them and to see what they like and to, I guess, use their interest to have them to motivate them to read and write. And the D is for discussion, so have discussions with our children whether it's about talking about stories, but also about why we do things. And she talked about interactive activities that we do together. So having a discussion and connect together. So that's for the parents. And for the children, she was saying that read can look like a lot of resistance. So that's the R resistance. So resisting us trying to teach them to read and write, embarrassment as well because they can't read well enough, or maybe they can read a lot better, for example, in the school language, which would be English or any other language, but they feel embarrassed when they can't read as well in the home language. Uh, A was for anxiety. So reading, writing is really demanding and it can put a lot of pressure on our children. so it can represent anxiety for our children. And D is distraction. So when we are asking our children to write something, it might be something that's not very appealing and they get distracted easily. So then that's from their perspective, what writing could seem, and we need to shift that to get them more interested, motivated. So we gave a few tips about this in the session. And so that was for today. So I'll let you go and check this out. But for tomorrow, what's awaiting us? So we have 5 sessions tomorrow. I'm taking the paper so I can see everything. We start with a session, especially for teachers, from an assistant head teacher that I met who is doing something amazing in her school. And so I'm not going to reveal everything, but she introduced multilingualism as a school subject in her school. So throughout, it's a primary school, so every year group has multilingualism as a subject, and so we're going to talk about the impact it can have on children to have that kind of subject, but also how it values everybody's languages. Because, for example, so instead of having foreign languages, she put multilingualism. So they don't learn French or Spanish like we generally do in England, but it's multilingualism, so learning about languages. Then we're going to talk to Dr. Bijajak Babik and Dr. Smith Banyaya to talk about an initiative in France to bring all the students' languages and cultures into the school. So we have the very rare case of uh, Soufia Amin, who can introduce or can change the curriculum in her school, and other schools who need to follow a certain curriculum. So then, depending on what your school can do, hopefully you get enough insights of the possibilities that can be done in your schools, whether you can include multilingualism as your a school subject, or whether as an addition, you can bring something in your school to value your students' languages. And then, so it's especially for parents who want to pass on a language, but maybe they feel it's a bit late, they haven't started straight away, so their children don't speak very well the language. We're going to talk about story listening and how stories can help a child acquire languages. So it's with Dr. Beniko Mason. She does that to teach English at university, but it's applicable anywhere. With the home situation, there might be some adaptations, but we're going to talk about that. But it's helping our children learn a language through stories. So that can be very appealing, and I guess a lot easier when it's stories because it's more appealing. And then, so I'll be joined by Tetsu Young to talk about how to juggle several home languages, especially when they have different scripts. So earlier today during my lesson, we had someone who had 5 languages. Tetsu has 5 languages, or he's passing on 5 languages to his children at home. And we see how we can juggle things because it can be quite overwhelming. In my case, we have just 2 home languages plus the school language. Tetsu has 5 languages in total. So hopefully we'll be able to give you some tips on how you can juggle everything. And to finish, a session that's going to be probably very interesting. I'm very curious about it, is to learn about what happens in the brain of multiliterate children. We hear a lot about what happens in the brain for multilingual children. So I was curious to know what happens for multiliterate children, those who can read. And for this, we're going to be accompanied by Dr. Proso Argiri, to talk about this. So loads that are going to happen tomorrow, loads that happened already today and yesterday. I know it's a lot to watch, but if you're interested, don't worry. Everything will stay on my YouTube channel, so you can even check it later. Just if you want to enter the giveaways, make sure you at least watch and leave some comments on the videos of the speakers you're interested to get their prizes. And on this note, yeah, sorry, I talked a bit about my book earlier with Amanda. So to motivate children to write. So this one is for parents with younger children in primary school to teach them to read and write through games. And you have these three books that are for preteens and teens. So I would say it can be good from 9, 10 years old up to 14, 16 years old. It's to motivate children to write in their home languages. I let you discover them on my website. I believe I left the link in the description below. So if you're interested, feel free to have a look. And so that's all for today. It was a full day. We have another full day tomorrow. I hope you'll be joining us live for some of the sessions. And for now, good night or good afternoon or have a good day, depending on where you are. Bye, everyone, and see you tomorrow.